On August 12, 2024, Ryan Bogwardt went kayaking in Green Lake County, Wisconsin, and would not return home. He had texted his wife just the night before and said his trip was concluding soon. He would be heading home towards the shore, but he was never heard from again. On this episode of the Point of No Return True Crime Podcast, join us as we dive into finding out what happened to Ryan while on his kayaking trip. I'm Amanda Washington.
And I'm Michelai Graham.
The Point of No Return is a true crime podcast focused on cold cases, murders, and mysteries. The Point of No Return co-hosts Mandy and Mitch share their theories on case facts and more. The podcast title is a double entendre representative of perpetrators and victims of crimes. Once they cross the lines, there's no turning back. So, today's case is a different type of case. It's a case unlike things that we've never covered before. Ryan went kayaking in this lake, and the lake is called the Green Lake. So I'm gonna give you guys facts. Y'all know I used to be a teacher, so I love a little fun fact. So the Green Lake is actually the deepest lake in the state of Wisconsin, and it reaches the depth of 237 feet. And the surface area of the lake is about 7,340 acres. So it's a pretty big lake. But in proximity to like other lakes that I looked at in Wisconsin, surface area wise, it's not the biggest surface area, but it is pretty deep in comparison to other lakes in the state of Wisconsin. So Ryan and his family lived about an hour away from Green Lake in a city by the name of Watertown, Wisconsin. So he lived with his wife of 22 years. Her name is Emily, and they had three teenage children by the names of Jeremiah, Levi, and Nora.
What was
So,
it called?
Watertown.
Watertown. That's
Watertown, Wisconsin. That's literally the name.
Did they have some correlation on water? Just because they were surrounded by the lake?
You be asking too many questions.
I'm sorry.
I don't know.
It don't even matter. I apologize.
That really don't matter. Yeah, I'm like, it's called Watertown. I don't know. I didn't look
I'm
into
just
that.
curious,
I
Miss
looked
Teacher.
into
You
the
gave me
lake.
some. You just gave me some facts. I'm like, oh, maybe she know why it's called Watertown.
I didn't look into Watertown. I'm looking into the lake he went kayaking at.
Okay, my bad. Back
Okay.
to Green Lake. Back to Green Lake.
Thank you. So, just a little facts about his family. It was said that the family loved spending time outdoors, and during the summertime, they really liked spending time outdoors because of the brutal winters. And obviously, they enjoyed kayaking through many of these lakes, and they did often in the state of Wisconsin. And I mean, none of this really surprised me, right? And I think oftentimes we know that our palm color friends love outdoors. That's something that we see about them often. So none of this honestly surprised me. And because of his experience in the water, it would be assumed that when he goes kayaking alone and on a trip, his wife can think, "Oh yeah, he'll come back safely and nothing's gonna happen to him. He knows the patterns of the water and of the lakes and all this other stuff." But of course, we do know that accidents can happen and things can change rapidly, at the drop of a hat. So on the night of August 12th, 2024, at 10:45 p.m., Ryan would text his wife Emily and let her know that he was headed back to shore, indicating that he would be returning home sometime soon. But by the next morning, Emily still saw that he wasn't home yet. So when she saw that he didn't return home, she contacted the police to say, "Hey, my husband said he was coming home last night. He never returned home. I don't know what's going on." So the Green Lake County Sheriff's deputies were dispatched, and quickly they would find that Ryan's car was parked in the lot near the south side of the lake. And this is according to National Public Radio, or as we know it, NPR. So they found that Ryan's kayak was actually capsized in a part of the lake that was 220 feet deep. So a lake visitor also found Ryan's life jacket, his tackle box, and his keys with the wallet inside of it. So over the next several weeks, authorities deployed several drones, a dive team, three cadaver dogs, and much more to assist with the search. Then they also called in somebody from a volunteer group that's based in Wisconsin that helps with search and recovery for victims drowning in lakes. Like, So obviously in Wisconsin and in these kind of states where they have, kayak accidents and things of this nature, like if they have a volunteer group that specializes in this, like this kind of stuff happens often, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they even had this guy come out for 28 days and he's searching, but after 28 days, they still found no sign of Ryan anywhere. So this led police to think that it was, a dead mission. He was nowhere. So the lead sheriff on this case was a sheriff by the name of Sheriff Mark Podol. If you hear me call him anytime, we're just going to call him Sheriff Mark from any time on. So that is the lead sheriff on this case. So Sheriff Mark said that his office spent probably anywhere between about $35,000 to $40,000 trying to find Ryan, but ultimately he was presumed dead. They couldn't find him. So here's a quote from Emily that she shared on social media shortly after the search. While I was never able to understand why God had to take Ryan home way sooner than I would have liked, I would be forever at peace knowing that he's enjoying heaven with his Savior. So,
Okay, so they're a very religious family, I would say. No?
yes, so they're a
Okay.
religious family. So give me, based off of what you know and what you heard, what are some theories or what are you thinking may have happened to Ryan, or what do you think is going on?
It just seemed too perfect to me, like the setup of, like, oh, okay, my husband didn't come home, call the police. They go down there, they find the car, kayak capsized, but all of his, so another bystander found his, like, wallet, life jacket and things, like, on the side, like, they weren't on his body, right? The life jacket not being on his body is interesting to me if the kayak is capsized. In my mind, I'm like, he went in that water with that kayak, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he went on a walk somewhere and got knocked in the head, or maybe I don't know, maybe he walked through somewhere and fell off a cliff, but I don't think
Okay.
he in that water without that life jacket. I would think, I don't know, maybe he a good swimmer. The palm colors really be in the water, swimming in them lakes.
They do be in the water.
The Loch Ness Monsters is in there. If I'm going in there, I'm going with the life jacket and with my mama and some friends or something. You won't catch me just vibing out on Green Lake.
Yeah, me
So,
neither.
I don't know. I feel like if he is missing or dead, maybe I don't know if this was like surrounded by like hiking trails or something of that nature, but I don't know, something to me about the life jacket and the belongings being perfectly found, but the kayak being capsized not adding up.
Do you think anybody else could be involved? Like he did make it out the water, but
Oh,
maybe.
that's another thing. Did he go by himself? Did he normally kayak by himself?
So
Like,
as far as we know, and his wife is saying, he was on this trip alone. So
I don't know. I guess, I mean, again, this is not my activity, but from even my friends that I've seen post about kayaking, my palm color friends, like, they're not doing it alone. But it is something that is like a full day experience. Like, people be going out there early in the morning before the sun come up. They on the water, and then, by sundown they're wrapping it up. So, I don't know. I'm trying to think, did anyone else see him? I mean, for all we know, he could have met up with somebody out there. And like I said, I think he was on feet somewhere. I don't think he was in that water.
okay,
I don't know. I'm spiraling now. I don't know.
okay,
He could
all
have.
right.
He could have been a part of a whole cult or tribe of people out there doing something secretly. He got caught up in some other mess.
Yeah. Okay. These are good theories. These are good theories. Okay, this is good. This is good conversation. So, by November 8th, there was actually a break in the case.
Okay.
So this is what Sheriff Mark had to say. By November 8th, he held a press conference. And so he said, "Great news. We know that he is alive and well.
What?
The bad news is we do not know where Ryan exactly is, and he has not yet decided to return home." He said that he learned in early October that Canadian authorities checked Ryan's passport on August 13th, the day after he was announced missing. Police would also come to find out that Ryan began plotting his disappearance as far back as January 2024 when he took out a $375,000 insurance policy, possibly to take care of his family in his absence, and bought airline gift cards. Sheriff Mark also then had digital forensic analysts examine Ryan's laptops, which he revealed that Ryan transferred funds from a foreign bank and had taken photos of his passports, changed his email, and had been communicating with a woman in Uzbekistan.
What? I did not mean to scream that loud. Okay, you threw me with that. Okay. Hold on. Let me
You didn't see that coming, did you?
Wait. I can't even spell Uzbekistan.
U-Z. He was communicating with a woman in Uzbekistan, sweetie.
Okay, so wait. So August 13th, Canadian authorities flagged that his passport, like that he entered
Canada.
Okay. Okay, so he took the insurance policy out, the $375K in January.
Mm-hmm.
He goes missing August 12th.
Yes.
But they assumed that he was going to use that money to take care of his family.
Yes.
Like that they would get that after he died.
Correct.
Okay. But he's been chatting with the lady in Uzbekistan.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he has a wife and 3 teenage kids.
Yes.
Who have been worried sick about him.
That is correct.
Why did it take until November 8th for them to see that he entered Canada on August 13th?
Well, they found out in October, but I guess they were just, they didn't have the press conference until November, but they found all of this out in October sometime about the Canadian stuff. And I guess during this time, that's when they got a warrant for his computer, and they found all this other stuff about the lady in Uzbekistan, and they saw the rest of the stuff about his email and all of this stuff on his computer. But I'm like, why would you not find a way to take your computer with you and do all this other stuff? Like, you left the computer behind?
You left. So that was what my question was going to be. The computer was at the crib? That seemed like a careless step, unless it was a desktop computer. I'm thinking if it was a laptop, like, you for sure should have taken that or destroyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, there's so many ways to.
Mm-hmm. And also, to me, like, when people do stupid stuff like this, and like, you just like, if you're gonna fake your death, you need to like fake it good enough to where you were like murdered or something, like there needs to be like blood and like a body or something, so your family can definitely get the insurance policy. Because you like disappearing and them not really like declaring you technically dead, your family's not going to get anything.
Yeah, and there's no physical evidence that his body was in there. But in order to get an insurance policy, technically, doesn't he have to just be legally dead? Meaning, like, after a certain amount of days, I know the law might be different in different states, but after a certain amount of days, they like legally.
Yeah, and I guess it also depends on the
Say
policy.
he's dead.
And yeah, it depends on the terms of the policy as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know what the terms of the policy were, but I'm just like, this is insane. But
okay, so he went to Canada, and I'm assuming he took a flight from there to Uzbekistan.
Yes, and he must have gotten it with whatever airline gift cards that he bought back in January.
What is up with the airline gift card? That part of it is confusing me, because I'm like, I
don't know. I
guess so. He wasn't directly purchasing the flight from
with
whatever
his credit
account
card
he was using.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but
yeah.
Okay, got it. Because then, like, he was just going to the airline websites and booking the flights, and not necessarily.
Yeah.
But if he was still doing it under his regular accounts, because he used his actual name with his actual passport,
it's all still Delta or whatever.
Like,
I don't know.
It's still going to be linked back to you. Okay, he was better off giving someone else the money to purchase the flight with his name on it. So, I mean, his name would be on the flight, but financially wouldn't be linked back to him on his profile. Like, I learned this because I'm like, I booked my mom's flight recently when we were in Detroit, and I learned so much. So when you book a flight, when someone else books the flight for you, all they really need is your name and your birthday. Like, anyone can book a flight for you, which is bizarre to me. I'm like, I booked my mama's flight. All I need, I had her name and her birthday. But, like, she was also able to use, like, my, you know, I get one bag free and stuff for being silver on Delta. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. So I'm like, I could be booking flights for people left and right if I wanted to. It was a very easy, smooth process. And she got the email, but I'm like, if I didn't want to give her the email,
you
I'm like,
you don't
it would
have
have just
to.
been on my account.
It can go straight to yours, or it can go to theirs. I'm like, I do it all the time when I book Amaya's flights too.
Yeah, I'm like,
it's very seamless.
It's too easy, but it's too easy.
Yeah, so let me continue. So, as for why Ryan chose to disappear mysteriously, the sheriff said that he asked Ryan, like,
Oh, he talked to him.
Yes. So he said that when he got in contact with him, he said that Ryan said he just had personal matters going on and he felt like it was the right thing to do. So, yeah, I don't even know what that means. So he said...
Did he had a lot of debt or something?
They didn't mention anything about debt. So, I don't know. It's you know, it seemed like...
want to be a family man no more? Like,
it seemed like he wanted to go with this lady in Uzbekistan and do what he wanted to do. So, police got a hold of him on November 11th. And this is what the NPR article said. It said, with the help of a Russian-speaking woman, possibly the woman from Uzbekistan, they believed to be living in Eastern Europe, to prove that it was actually him, the sheriff's office asked him to provide a proof of life with a video. The sheriff actually showed this video in the press conference. They showed a 24-second video where Ryan appears on screen, and he filmed the video on his actual phone. He can be seen standing in front of the camera, and you can see him. He's standing in front of a door. He says, "Good evening. It's Ryan Bogwardt. Today's November 11th. It's approximately 10 a.m. I'm in an apartment. I'm safe and secure. No problem." This was also the time when he told police how he basically devised his plan. So this is how he got away with it, and this is how he did it, because I'm sure everybody is wondering at this point, like, how the hell did he get away with this whole thing with the boat being capsized and all this stuff?
Yeah.
So on the day of his disappearance, Ryan stashed a bike near the lake before taking off in a very small child-sized inflatable boat while carrying the kayak. So he had the kayak, and inside of the kayak he also had this like mini inflatable boat. So he flips the kayak over, like, I guess he blows the, you know, the little boat up.
Yeah.
Gets in the little boat, flips the kayak over, and discarded his phone, paddled the small boat to shore, and from there he rode the bike 70 miles to Madison, Wisconsin, where he boarded a bus.
70 miles.
70 miles. Where he boarded a bus to Detroit.
I knew it, and I'm sure he went over to Windsor, right?
And then another to the Canadian border.
Right.
Before he got on a plane.
I'm wondering if he went over to Windsor and then went to the airport from there. Because, you know, like, from the Detroit River, you see Canada.
Yes.
It's like, it's literally right there.
Yes,
and I'm like,
I
knew Detroit was going to come as part of this somewhere. Because I'm like, ain't no way he made it to Canada without...
That's exactly what he did.
Without going through the deep.
So one of the things that the sheriff also mentioned was, he said that Ryan really thought that, like, they weren't going to go more than 2 weeks looking for him. Like, he thought after 2 weeks they were going to call the search off. Like...
He said y'all did too much.
Basically, like, he was like, "Oh, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I thought it was gonna be like a little 2 week stint."
You're
and that
a
was
human being. Your wife reported you missing. We found a capsized kayak, and now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, he left the ID and everything there, so y'all can identify that. Oh, that was me in that capsized kayak. When in reality, I'm like, you give yourself too much credit. Nobody gave a damn who you were. As soon as they saw that car, that would have linked you back to your family. So,
Yep.
in truth, in my honest opinion, what really did him in was leaving those materials, and then of course him just easily going over the border the next day. I feel like he could have waited. He should have went undercover and waited.
And like you set the whole thing up. If you wanted to leave, you should have just told Emily, "Hey, Em, I hate your stinking guts. I want a divorce. I'm leaving."
Well, he clearly had felt some guilt if he wanted to leave them the insurance policy.
And that is a beautiful segue into my next point. So one of the things that he also told Sheriff Mark on the phone was, he said, he felt very remorseful because that's why he left the family that insurance policy, and he was very remorseful for his actions and also the time and the resources that were spent on the search. Like, he felt really, really bad that happened. And he was like, I got myself into a situation, and I really want to try and get myself out of it. So at first, the police were saying they didn't know if any charges were going to be filed against him, and they were like, oh
This
yeah,
is fraud.
this is fraud. I was like, what do you mean
What do
you
you
don't
mean you
know?
don't know?
What do you mean you don't know? And then I'm like, Sheriff,
Well,
y'all
technically,
say-
like, I guess the one thing in this situation that, wouldn't come is that insurance policy. And out of, him taking out the insurance policy, which he did, and he's now fled the country, no other crime technically was committed. Like, he capsized his own boat.
he pretended to be dead.
Oh, and he's faked his death. Yeah, that part. But I'm saying it's all on him.
Yeah.
And he's not there.
I guess also it's just making me think of, well, I guess she also called 911, didn't she? It's making me think of Carly Russell.
Yeah. She called 911 too.
Okay. Well, she called 911 because I'm like, that girl. She had us going through the ringer. But anyhow, by mid-December, Ryan actually came back to America because they were like, no, actually,
You're going to jail.
you're going to the pokey. So by mid-December, Ryan came back to America. He turned himself in, and he was booked in the Green Lake County Jail. During his first court appearance, he entered a not guilty plea on a misdemeanor obstruction charge, and Ryan told the court that he couldn't afford an attorney.
Okay, so he clearly was having financial troubles.
Yes. So he couldn't afford an attorney, and he was going to represent himself. And I'm like, even if they couldn't get him on anything else, he needs to pay back that sheriff's office that $40,000.
Yeah,
if
for
anything
sure.
else, because
For
I'm
the
like,
search.
that was a waste of funds. So his bond was set.
You're sick.
His bond was set at $500.
500 American dollars?
$500.
Did the wife post it?
I didn't get that. I don't know.
I hope she divorced him.
So she's in the process of divorcing him. So he was scheduled to return back to court in January, and the police 2025. Yes.
Okay.
And also he did go back in January of 2025, and the case is actually set to begin in April of 2025. So we haven't gotten much outside of that with the case beginning in 2025, but
so he's gonna sorry, so he's gonna go to court and represent himself during this trial. Is that they're gonna let him?
They are gonna let him represent himself. That is correct.
Okay, interesting. I wonder if since he didn't have an attorney, why he didn't settle some. I wonder how much potential time he's getting for the charges they presented to him. I'm assuming that's the other reason why he's
because the
pushing
police are pushing for him to pay restitution. So it may not be like a huge time commitment, honestly.
Then he needs to I would have settled. I'm not trying. Why would you take this to trial? You've already admitted, not just to the sheriff or in a police interview, but you've already recorded a video and said, I committed these crimes. What do you go to trial for?
Yep.
Now you want the court to feel bad that you're having financial troubles. No, you faked your death, and you not only faked your death, you skipped with some woman in Uzbekistan. Like, you started a whole. And it's interesting to me that, like, were they romantically connected? Was there any?
Had to be.
I think it's interesting that that's not like a prime part of this story. That's interesting to me too, because I'm like, okay, so was she taking care of you over there? Were y'all romantically involved?
And
because you're better off saying you were in love and
a woman who gave you up very quickly. Because if you think about it, the person who they found to contact him over there was her.
Yeah, maybe she also didn't know how he was making his way there. He very well could have told that lady, "I'm leaving my family. I'm making arrangements to leave my family and start a life with you." For all we know, we don't know what this
Maybe.
lady knew about him and his life in America. Because if she was willing to be like, I volunteer as Tribune to translate whatever's
Yeah,
going
like,
on, I take that as, oh, you done wrapped me into some mess that I had no business being a part of.
uh-huh. It's sinister. I'm like, you left your wife to go date some lady all the way in Uzbekistan. And I'm like, what about your kids? And I think the biggest thing for me is like, you have children who are teenagers. It's not like these are like babies. Your kids are gonna remember this.
Yeah.
Like,
They're not only going to remember this, this is literally happening right now.
yeah, like
Like,
they're of age. They're never gonna forget this.
no. Sick man. Sick man.
So I know you guys are probably also wondering about Emily, because I was wondering about Emily. So I had to do my own digging and research about Emily. And when you have you looked up a picture of Ryan?
Oh, no. Should I look up a picture of Ryan?
Yeah, I mean he's not really a looker. I think that's what had me gagged too.
Shocker.
I'm like,
Right.
the pictures of
This
Ryan
looks
don't eat.
exactly like the type of man who would do something like this. He needs to go bald, babe. Just shave it off. Let it go.
Like the pictures don't eat. So I'm
Oh, man.
yeah, it's really sad.
Poor wife and kids. Like, this is... I think it's interesting, like, we don't know any more about... And they were married for 22 years.
22 years. But anyway, she's trying to leave him. She's in the process. When I looked it up, they live in Dodge County, Wisconsin, in the Dodge County Circuit Court. Literally, no lie, Michelai, in December, as soon as that man made it back stateside and she found out he was alive, she started filing that divorce paperwork. She was like, "Yeah, I'm not playing with you." She started filing paperwork to dissolve their marriage.
Right.
It also indicated that she was seeking, legal separation from him. Also, and it said that their marriage was irrefutably broken. It doesn't elaborate outside of that. She was also filing for full custody. And then, yeah, that was the biggest thing in terms of the paperwork for that. But if Ryan does get convicted of, the obstruction charges, the fine that he's gonna face, I don't think that he'll have to pay the full $40,000. From what I read on People, it says that he can be facing up to paying about $10,000 or 9 months in jail. So if he does have to go to jail, he won't be in jail too long. It'll be about 9 months, and then he won't serve that whole time. He might be in there for 4 months.
I would like to share that it was an electric bike that he rode 70
Yeah, it was
miles.
an e-bike.
Okay. Yeah, I just want the people to know.
Yeah, it was an e-bike.
Child, I just recently did a Peloton class, and while the bike was stagnant, I was on it for about 30 minutes, and I'm still sore. It's been almost a week. There's no way he rode a smooth 70 miles on a nice day. I wonder, I'm like, this is why I be thinking of, like, video footage, CCTV. I'm like, if he went missing, if he wasn't in the water, and, like, they spent all that money on the search, did y'all ever consider that he went missing and he wasn't in the water? Like, did you use any other resources to check cameras? And I don't know. I just feel like, I don't want to say people fake their deaths all the time, but at that point where you found no physical evidence in that area, but you found his belongings, did anyone get out there and track some footsteps to the bike trail? Because
Yeah.
it seems like all of those details came out after he admitted he was, alive and well somewhere else. This is just interesting.
I'm like, that's just insane. And
Like, what was
kind of like everybody's saying, it was so elaborate and deliberate, like you went lengths to do this. Like not only did you get a blow up boat, you capsized your kayak, then you had an e-bike, then you got on a bus, then you got on a plane, and you went to another country to go to another country. Like, this is insane. And then you were gone for 4 months.
And they searched for him for 54 days. 54 days? And I wonder, like I said, I wonder if all of that search was on the water. Because looking at these, like, military boats and stuff they brought out there to look for him, like, yeah, they were spending money on.
Yes. And like I said, they had that one volunteer guy, um, and his group was out there looking for him for 20 something days. They were like, no, he's not out here.
So from the day they spoke to him on November 11th until his return, they said he spoke to cops every single day. So this is when he was spooked by then. It's like, once you sent that 24-second video, buddy, yeah, you might as well come back. Like, you're cooked. It sounds like maybe in that time, that's when they got all the details of why he, or how he did it and what he did. He was like, yeah, I took a bus from here to here to here. And when he got back, only had $20 in his pocket. So in that month or so, you was in Georgia. That's where he set up camp after he went over. What was you doing? What was your plan? I'm not saying you went there to get money, but I'm like, you still came back with nothing. You left for something, still came back with nothing.
And
I'm assuming maybe he took out the insurance policy, thought his family was going to tap into the money, and maybe he was going to contact them. Like, I did this for y'all, throw me some cheese. I don't know what his plan was.
That would be a horrible thing to think.
For sure, for them to even, I don't know.
I want to know more about this mistress.
Yeah, there's nothing about, like, there's no pictures of her, nothing. And I wonder if they even, kept up seeing each other, or maybe, once he got over and they got in contact with, she helped him get in contact with the police to have the conversations or whatever. For all we know, it could have ended there. There's not much about her at all, which I think is telling, but maybe that's what we'll find out more about in court.
Yeah, maybe so. I thought that this case was very interesting, and I'm like, this is clearly fraud.
100%. And I think it's interesting that, like, he had, when he was over there, he was set up in an apartment, but it's unclear how he was, financing himself, supporting himself. Like, Ryan could be involved in some whole scam, scheme, something going on. Also, I'm like, did you owe somebody some money? Do you know what his job was before he left for him to be so broke?
He owned his own company. What was it? Let me it was in one of my links. I'm gonna tell you right now what
I'm trying to think. I'm like, maybe he was in super duper debt and didn't want to pay it off.
He owned a woodworking company.
Woodworking.
And his wife, Emily, was a first grade teacher.
Yeah, I did see that. She was a teacher. So he was a woodworker. She was a teacher.
I don't even know what that means.
I don't know either. I'm like,
what does that mean?
Was he making, I see it as, was he making like wood furniture, wood flooring, cutting up wood? Could it be any in all of those?
Oh, okay. Okay, they design, build, install items like cabinets, shelves, furniture.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
I think that could be a pretty lucrative thing, though.
Yeah, I'm like, because that's not even, you automatically, your mind probably goes to homes, but I'm like, any type of building that has office space or,
and then especially in a place like Wisconsin where it's cold.
Yeah. A lot of stuff is inside. I don't know. Maybe the business was not booming. Also, it could be a saturated industry for all we know in that area because...
And like, honestly, I don't think that he was necessarily poor. He might have been poor because maybe he wasn't working in Georgia or wherever he was. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that he was broke. He had enough money to devise this whole plan and to go over there.
And he started it in January. I just imagine deciding, and I'm like, for all we know, January is when he started the plan. That's not when he put it into action. That's not to say when he actually started planning. So imagine knowing this for the full year, though, from when he took that insurance policy out, that I'm about to dip out on my family.
And dip on her.
Like, sociopaths. I couldn't imagine. 22 years, 3 kids. Now, you'll never be able to look those kids in their face again. I would be like, straight up, you're a weirdo, Pops. Papa.
Yeah.
You're on that weird stuff.
Yep. So, Yeah, so if we hear any updates, I feel like that's been a lot of our cases lately. Like we're like, yeah, when we get some updates, we'll let y'all know. So we have
Yeah.
much to update you guys on, but yeah, that's the tea on Ryan. Ryan done faked his death, and now he back in America, child.
Hopefully he comes to his court date bald.
Yeah,
Because he losing out here,
uh,
he's stressed.
and you know what?
I cut mine off.
To that point, we done. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please share this with your loved ones, your friends, anybody in your close circle, or maybe even your haters. I don't know. Subscribe to us anywhere that you listen to your podcast, or maybe even where you watch your podcast. But until next time, I'm Amanda Washington.
And I'm Michelai Graham.
And this is the Point of No Return True Crime Podcast. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.
Bye.